In progress. Okay, recording's in progress. I mean, I like progressive recording as much as anyone, I guess.
Yes, me too.
Okay, so this is our thing.
It's our
Cast of some sort, pod or what? A family of teachers, a family of educators. I'm not sure we settled on what that is, but that's what it is.
I think a family of educators, right?
Okay, family of educators.
Because teaching kind of makes it small, but as we have been discussing and we'll discuss, like, you're an educator, there's a, you don't have to be a professional teacher to educate somebody.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Okay, me too.
A family of educators, and I'm one of the educators here. My name's Galen. I teach physics at Cal State Long Beach. And
I'm Amy Pickett, otherwise known as Ms. Pickett. I teach pre-K, early childhood education. I'm on the East Coast, enjoying my last few weeks of summer.
It's already petering away. In 2 weeks, I'm going to have to be sitting in this chair facing this camera and talking science. So, yay, it's a great career. Let's do that.
You got to earn your money now.
Yeah, the summer is great because I've been earning it all year, and now, like, they're hold it like an allowance or something. And yes, here's your June money. Don't spend it all in one place. Here's your July money.
Oh, see, I never did spread a check. I was always like, give me all my money now. And then I get to July and be like, why did the lights go out? Ooh. They aren't kidding. You really do have to pay that bill. Or my favorite, where'd my car go? Oh my God, my car's been stolen. No, ma'am, your car was repoed.
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, no one gives me the choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. Yes, it's a feature of the system that they hold on to that money in some big account earning interest that will pay for some, I don't know, some assistant vice president.
A candy bar later.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
well.
good.
Let's talk about what we're here to talk about.
Yes. Okay.
We could title this episode, crap I got to put up with in my career. But no, let's do something more positive than that.
Yes.
So this is a profession that, unlike being a firefighter or a doctor, you probably don't have a lot of experiences as a firefighter as a kid or as a doctor as a kid, but you spend lots of time in school.
Yeah.
So everyone who winds up as an educator of some sort has got all of these decades worth of experiences in their past when they're students that sort of breaks through to when you are acting as the teacher.
Yeah.
And some of those are great. Some of those are positive, and some are like PTSD.
Yeah. True that.
So let's first think about like a positive one. So
yeah.
An example where, you are interacting with someone and you can picture the exact same conversation that was had when you were the student.
Okay, so there's a few teachers, but probably I'll just focus on Mrs. Martin in Pine Lake, grade.
So you're fifth grade.
Yeah. Or was it fourth grade?
No, she was a fifth grade teacher.
Okay, all right. Yes, because third grade, fourth grade was Mrs. Henschel. Okay. It really isn't a time that she said something. It was just a feeling that I had. Like, I was accepted in her classroom. I knew I wasn't doing what the teacher wanted to be done. Like, I knew there were assignments that I was like, either I didn't get it, I didn't want to get it, I wasn't interested in it. But she never shamed me. She never made me feel bad. She was always just positive. I could tell when she was displeased, but I never felt like she hated me, I could just tell she was disappointed, which, to tell you the truth, would actually make me give it a shot, or maybe do a little bit more than, otherwise might have.
Mhm.
And, I hope that that is the feeling that, my students have when we do a lot of problem solving. So when we're working on a problem, it's not, it's not punitive. You're not in trouble. This is your learning. This is where I'm supposed to guide you so you know how to solve a problem. So then you can solve the problem without me. You can solve new problems that I won't even know exist because you know how to problem solve. And coming at that where it's non-judgmental and calm, which is very hard because, typically the problems that we have in pre-K are emotional ones.
Mhm.
So we're human beings. And, I think in general, my upbringing in our family, I had to be hypersensitive to people's emotions and where they were. So I think I have a good read on that, and I in, so, and that's what empathy is not feeling bad for somebody and sympathizing like, sorry.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah. But just being like, wow, yeah, you are really upset. You spent all morning building this bridge, and then a friend came by and knocked it over. And now it's, in shreds. Yeah, I would be mad too. So that experience from Mrs. Martin, I hope I give, and some of my students have that feeling. But she was, I can't remember a damn thing she taught me. I just knew she accepted me.
So let's see. So for so much, so many of my memories of being taught science in um, uh, in elementary school up through high school is I've got the answers that the teachers don't, even when I'm wrong. And I'm wrong all the time. So I do remember this one time. This is second grade or third grade, and I don't know. This was so we're living in Colorado. This is at the parochial school, so Our Lady of Assumption. And like second grade and third grade had some deal. The teachers would swap, roles to teach the science lesson. So I believe I was in third grade, but it was the fourth grade teacher who was talking about the science lesson. But I'm right. It's just not. I can't explain to you how much of my identity as a student was I'm right, and I'm right all the time. And being wrong is the whole thing shatters, and it's just not. I mean, it's very upsetting.
Yeah.
So I'm like 8, and you know what being wrong at home felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just being a kid. Kawak, kill whack, get out of my So teacher, we're talking about mixing stuff with water. So sugar, yeah, sure, I understand. I give a 5-minute lecture in the class. Oh, the sugar molecules go here and they're floating around. It's a physical change, not a chemical change. All these words that I had sort of read for myself in one book or another. And then she makes this ridiculous claim that, okay, you go and make some sugar water at home and the water will evaporate and it will leave just sugar in the sugar behind. Absolutely not. You're a fool, lady. That's not the way it goes. The sugar is now a part of the water, and when the water leaves, it'll take the sugar with it. No, Galen, that's not going to happen. Oh, well, I'm right. You're wrong. So, I mean, how else are we going to settle this? It's not even an argument at this point because I'm right, you're wrong. I mean, I'm sorry about this. I don't care how embarrassed you are about being wrong, but you're wrong. So she just casually said, clearly, I think what she was thinking was, time to move on with the lesson.
Yeah.
But what she said was, well, why don't you go and try it? So my response was, I will. And you know what? I'll be back when I know that you're wrong. So got a little jar at home, some sugar mixed up with the water, put it there on a counter, and come back a day later, look at it. Nope, I don't see any sugar floating around in there. I'm still right. I'm so right. Come back a week later, the water level is down, but I don't see any sugar in there. I'm still right. I'm still right. I forget about it for a month, then come back to it, and the water level's way down, and there's this crust of sugar at the bottom, because of course, this is how you make rock candy.
Yes.
If you're not allowed to use fire.
Yes.
Yes. So that experience of, no, I did not realize this at the time, because at the time, my mind was filled with, I am so brilliant that I came up with this experiment. That was one of the features of
Wow.
of my sort of handle on being a good student was revising any idea to make it my own. Oh yeah, that was my idea. Can't remember how.
Alternative facts? You came up with alternative facts?
That's me, and I should really get some residuals on that.
I feel you should. Let's talk about that.
So in hindsight, I mean, so with like 20, 30 years distance, I all the time, people are pretty sharp around me, students are pretty sharp around me. And just telling someone, no, you're wrong. That's the thing that I think about, because I got to give people feedback, right? I mean, you can't let someone go through like, oh, sure, flat Earth, great model. That's great. You go with that because, don't let anyone tell you you're wrong. No, you're wrong. How do you do that without, and there are some people I'm talking to who have never been wrong ever, or have sort of protected themselves from this feeling of being wrong by going back and sort of editing what they remember.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same effect you were talking about, problem solving in pre-K. It's not right, wrong, whatever. There's a problem. And if you don't have the correct solution now, well, okay, fine. Do we just use the incorrect solution, or maybe we keep working on it?
Yeah.
And maybe you don't have to come up with everything on your own. Maybe talking this over with other people, maybe calming down a little bit about the whole I have to be right and no one, I have to be the smartest person in the room thing. Maybe that will help you.
Yeah. Well, as someone that was wrong often and being told no, wrong often, I am sensitive to that. And that was actually weaved somewhere in my teaching education, that it's not okay to misguide a student about facts. You can't say, oh, 2 plus 5, that's 27. Yeah, you got it. But saying, well, that's interesting. Show me how you got that answer. Or tell me your thinking, or how did you look at that? And that's, again, a lot like problem solving. And, oftentimes, because the concept is so new, students do need some modeling up front. Like, well, this is what I would do. Do you want to try that? And then some students that they are just not ready to problem solve, they just don't want to deal with it anymore. And that's fine too. Okay, well, the problem is still here. So leave this problem right here. And when you're ready to kind of attack it again, then we'll come back to this problem. Now, and obviously it can't be a problem with physically hurting somebody. That's dealt with. But like sharing a toy, I don't want to share the toy. And then just getting into this dialogue of problem solving, and then the student just saying, no, I don't like any of those ideas. Well, do you have ideas? No. I go, well, okay, well, until we can come up with an idea, I'm going to let this person use the toy. And then if you want to come back to the problem, then usually it's like, oh, I got an idea.
How about I get the toy now?
How about, right, but then the other person's like, no, I'm not good with that idea either. And it's usually a timer. We have these little timers in our classroom. And sharing is a hard, not natural thing, especially if a student is really engaged with something and they're not done with that engagement. I do have a hard time saying to somebody who just comes wandering by and says, oh, I want that. Like, I want that student to be able to kind of, finish what they're doing. And so I don't say, oh, there's a problem we have to share. I'll tell students, well, you can have it in a few minutes, and then you can tell some kids are like, yeah, here you go. Or, have it in a few minutes. And then they're still really working with whatever they're working on. And then either that student will kind of sit back and wait because they really want it, or they're like, yeah, I'll go find something else to do. And so those.
Yeah. The thing I was doing was just messing with you. I saw you really.
So instead of me coming in and saying, that's mean, you need to share, this kid really doesn't even want it. They really just don't know how to interact and want friends. They don't know how to do it. So they think taking a toy is how you make a friend, because they haven't really had to make, so all those complexities, all of that doesn't work if students don't feel like I accept every mistake that they make and that this is learning. None of that works in a classroom if they're waiting for me to not watch them to make a mistake and try and get away with a mistake instead of, hey, you made a mistake and let's identify what the mistake is, and then you can solve the mistake, so.
Yeah, so I see, we do a lot of problem solving sort of professionally, physical problems in the physical world. How much does this thing have to be in order for this other thing to happen?
Yeah.
But, and the key to those problems, and anything that a professor like me could possibly assign as a homework problem, has been solved by the internet for 20 years now. And before the internet has been solved by people writing solution manuals for 150 years. So it is the right answer. So having someone around that can look at individual work and stamp yes, no, is like those kids waiting for you to be the arbiter of arbitrary justice.
Yes.
I don't know why I got the toy taken away from me, but I did. I guess it's fine because teacher's here. Instead of, this process is not finished in pre-K for sure, but the idea that there's something autonomous going on, and that we're all sort of around we're all waiting for these problems to get solved by us.
Yes. Intrinsic value of you solving a problem and you working through an issue, whether with materials or friends or space, like, yes, that is. And it's so the curriculum that I teach, they talk about not praising a student because it doesn't help them understand what they're doing, or more importantly, give them the language that you desperately need. And I don't care what household you come through, you need language development when you're that age. You need to hear language, you need to hear how it's used, you need to hear it so you can think about it. And nothing is better than hearing language when you are actually doing it right there. So it's not, oh, good job. It's, you open and close the scissors to cut a straight line down that construction paper, So that's saying the same thing. It's recognizing that this student has recognized in themselves, hey, I did it. I cut a straight line. And it's you recognizing it. And you can give that recognition, I find, to anybody. No matter how frustrated you might be with them and their behavior, you can give them honest feedback on their work.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of teachers, it's a lot harder for somebody that they have just pulled on their last string and pushed their last button to give them a good job, you finally did it. Or, you know, that's how it comes out, as opposed to, you zipped up your coat today, you're ready to go home. Thank God. No, you know, so
We'd have another entire conversation about what the inside voice is saying.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Get those little thought bubbles. Ding. But that like internal feeling good for yourself to know. And it has caused some issues, because typically, not always the case, a lot of my population, they might not hear a lot of positives or praise. So you certainly want to create a loving, warm environment. So when I first heard that, it didn't really sound, I was like, what?
Is this really my job?
Right.
Hell no.
But the more I was working with that age group, the more, you know, it's the environment that is the good job, great work type of thing. Because that's really just, hey, do you see me? You know, and if they know that I see them because the environment is that way, then they don't need the watch me. Did I do it right? Did you do it right?
Yeah.
They know that it's okay to make a mistake or to do something that doesn't have to be seen by an adult to have validation, you know. And it's
right. The universe doesn't grade your homework, actually.
right.
I mean, yeah. So I encounter this. So when I'm able to teach in person, and I replicate this online as well as I can, particularly upper division courses where, you know, did I get something right is such a, you know, they're hard problems. They're hard to get right. And if you say things like, wow, you got that problem right, you are smart, you've got a future, the inference there is, oh, that's cool. So the next time I can't solve a problem, I'm no longer smart, and now I'm screwed, and I can never let anyone see that I can't do a problem. Exactly. It just sort of cauterizes off, you know, the real power of working with other people.
Right. And you know, if you have two students and one student solves problem, got the right answer, and moving on. Another student struggles, keeps going back to it, finally works it out, has the right answer. I'm kind of feeling this one might have done a little more learning.
Right.
Where they have to work at it and think about it and process it and synthesize it. I mean, I'm not faulting this guy that always has the right answer, but it doesn't take, and your right answer doesn't take away from this person struggling, really thinking about it and getting the right answer. Like, they're different experiences. And you got to the, you know, the topical, you both got the right answer. But somebody that's had to struggle in my room with problem solving and get along with students all day, but towards the end of the day had a little bit of a breakthrough, like, that's a great day.
Yeah.
You know? And honestly, in school, I really can't think of a class where I got stuff right. Drama. When I took drama, I got things right. And it felt great. I felt great in drama class because I had gotten quick validation for, oh yeah, Amy, you're good at this. I was like, wow, I've never been good at anything. This is great. But not, I mean, really not in school. The whole thing was a struggle.
So getting the answer right, I mean, so this kid got it right instantly. This kid had to work a long time to get to the right answer. Emphasizing the right answer over the process to get it is really a trap, because eventually no one knows what the right answer is. And if you are invested in the right answer so much, then the answer is more important than anything. And when you can't get an answer, then you are your entire world is just gone.
Right. Right. And I would say, kind of roping back to our subject for today at hand, the best teacher, accepting all my flaws and who I was. The worst teaching was looking just for that, was just looking for the right answer. Didn't really want to know who I was, how I learned, wasn't interested in anything. And soon as they realized I was not coming up with the right answer, it was very much a,
well, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's find someone who can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also sort of a nasty way to coach.
Yeah.
You just find the people that can hit, put them on the team. My job here is done.
Right. Or
I'm the people.
Scout. Maybe not a good coach, but I'm a good scout.
or
That's just scouting, right? Just cherry picking your team, and then you didn't really teach them anything. It's like,
oh, okay. We could talk about coaching, what the role of coaching might be, because I've got some debate ideas along those very lines. So it's probably well, I don't know. In pre-K, is it an issue that people want a letter grade on particular assignments? I expect not.
well, they don't want a letter grade, but they want to know where the child ranks.
Uh-oh, you got to put them in order?
Well, they want to know, like, in general, not necessarily, but just like, how are they doing? And then, and especially with the pre-academic, I mean, there is a piece of pre-academics, right? But it is just so organic and where they are that it's not something, I tell parents, I'm looking for growth. If I see growth, it's fine. And it really doesn't matter where they're starting. I mean, unless it's, a severe type of thing that is a big red flag. And I tell them it's, the big thing is handwriting. Like, they come in the first day and their child is holding a pencil like this. It goes like that. I go, I wrote my name. And the parents just like horrified. And then they grab their hand, or they make the little dots. And I show them this, it's a continuum and examples of print of children writing their names through ages. And it really, but how else would you know? I didn't really know until I saw that paper, right? Until I found that resource. I was like, oh, this is a great resource even for me. So I would show that to parents. And then, I would say 95% of them would be like, oh, okay. And I go, and it's really just about seeing growth. And so don't, let's just give them time. And I said, and it's not just practicing handwriting every day. It's working with small manipulation of things. That's why we use the Legos and the Play-Doh. And by the way, we can't really muscle these out until these are muscled out, because we build muscle from the core out. So, that's why I have them read on their tummy, because some of them don't really have the strong shoulder. Like, kids don't get tummy time anymore. They sit in those little.
Yeah.
So, but parents do, they want to know, and because it's their first school experience, they don't want to hear right out the bat, there's a problem. Now, kids.
Your kid has flunked sharing,
every kid,
and we're holding him back.
Yeah, every child that I've had in my pre-K classroom that goes to write their name, I wrote my name. I mean, they're ecstatic. It's not until they see adults writing their name for them. And then they start to see, well, I can't do that. You know, so then they start to compare, or then they want it to look like this adults or whatever, which then takes away from them trying.
Mm-hmm.
Or then, worse yet, just makes them feel bad about writing their name anywhere for anything and just staying away from that exercise. As opposed to, I mean, I literally do have some kids that just come in and they go like that. Or the beginning of the year, we do a self-portrait and I get this done. I go, can you tell me about your picture? And they're like, well, this is a unicorn. And then it went flying over the rainbow. And then here's where I ate my breakfast. I'm like, okay, so I write unicorn, flying over the rainbow, ate breakfast. And then at the bottom, self-portrait, September, da, 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 right? Then in June, self-portrait. They got a big circle, the arms and the legs coming out of the circle, and the eyes, mouth. If you get a little more, you get some ears, maybe a nose, maybe some hair, but that's huge growth in a year.
Yeah.
So that's growth, you know. And I tell parents, you wouldn't expect a child who's crawling to get up and walk the next day just because they hit a birthday milestone. It's like, oh my God, you should be walking by now. As long as they're crawling and that's developed, you know, and they went from rolling over and they've hit those milestones and they're continuing to grow. And let's give it some time to just really think, because usually it's the beginning of the year and I don't want to misguide anybody and say, oh, I don't see a problem when, you know, because sometimes with students like day one, I see some issues, but I want to get to know the child more. I want to get to know the child, like their strengths, their interests, give them things within their interest to do to see if that doesn't elevate the effort or the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Because that doesn't matter. I mean, you can't tell a 4-year-old, oh, well, you're not interested in trucks, so you didn't draw a truck. Oh, you're interested in flowers, you drew a beautiful flower. Well, it's the idea of being able to take an object and put it on paper and have detail. But if they're not into trucks, but they're into flowers, well, it's the same. We're going for the same concept. Why not give them something they're interested in?
Mm-hmm.
That was a really long-winded answer, but yeah, there is a grading system that parents are interested in pre-K, which do my best to just to not bring into the equation, you know.
So obviously in the university, a letter grade is the thing.
Yeah.
If people don't even remember my name, that letter will eventually somewhere on a transcript somewhere determine something. Grades are just this huge
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Pulled from the students. I mean, I do know, I do have colleagues that are very, you know, that are unreasonably interested in the distributions of grades that they're giving. But every
Yes.
student is super hyper interested in the grade.
Yeah.
So it's, in your case, you've got some benchmarks of, you know, different skills
Mm-hmm.
that people have to, you know, master at, you know, at different levels. How do you work in a team? And that's probably the big human skill that's the through line through all of education.
Right. Yeah.
How do you work in a team?
How do you self-regulate to get your work done and teamwork done? Yes. So it's how you can deal with yourself when problems come up, and how do you deal within a team? Yes, that is the string.
And in pre-K, you get to practice that. That's an explicit part of the curriculum.
That's the day. That's what you're signing up for. That's the day. Let's practice some self-regulation.
So practicing teamwork is, you can practice it all day, at a university. If there's no grade attached to it, nothing happens.
Yeah.
So there's like a law of physics that has to do with teaching in the university anyway. If it's not graded, it's not happening.
Mhm.
That's the zeroth law. The grading scale is the only thing you have to affect people's behavior. It's like the tax code. I give you a tax break if you do this. I'm going to raise your taxes if you do that. You figure it out from there. And that is not enough of a motivation to learn how to do everything else that you'd want to do to be a scientist. It's just the grades are not enough.
Yeah.
Because the problems are bigger than homework problems. Eventually, you've got to work with people to figure out, to make any sort of progress that's not already known for 50 years. So, and there's no part of the grade that says check mark, above, exceeds expectations, pleasure to have in class. All that stuff is gone.
Right.
No comments on these transcripts. Probably that's probably good. Just the letter grade.
Right.
So, and yet that is exactly the thing that I did not get from my own education. I got how to solve lots of problems by banging my own head against a wall. Until that sort of ran out, and graduate school was ridiculously hard figuring out how to work with people. I mean, I could have used a pre-K. I could have used a pre-K gap year right then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone gets to play with the toys, Galen.
Yeah.
There's no right way to play with that toy, Galen.
Right. Right.
Don't tell anyone else what to do, Galen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to replicate that by breaking people up into smaller communities. So 4 or 5 people sitting at the same table, and they've got some work to do during class. I ask them to do. I start some derivation, or I start some discussion, and we get so far, and then it's, hey, everybody, from this point on, it's your teams. Figure out what the next steps are here. And then there's 8 or between 8 and 10, maybe 12 of these teams all around the room, and they're writing on the walls. They've got this paint that allows you to not just write with a whiteboard marker, because you can use a whiteboard marker on any painted surface. You can leave a mark. Erasing it is the key.
Yeah.
These are erasable walls. And so now my job is not to go around and, okay, team 1, you got it right. You're done. You can just take it easy. Team 3, you guys suck. Keep working. That's not the job. The job is team 1 has it right. They got the right answer circled. But hey, that's interesting. This idea that you guys put here, who put this idea here? So I see, so this answer's got some properties that look cool to me as the person who's doing the grading. But this idea here, why did that show up?
Yeah.
You guys, I mean, that because it was something I didn't expect, and it's something that's actually wrong that leads to the right idea. If you're just looking at the answers, I mean, you'll never find the weird reasoning, the weird magical reasoning that gets you the answer.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. As a student by myself, doing my own homework, it's 3 in the morning on a Tuesday, because I got this problem set on a Monday, and I'm just a busy beaver, and I am not going to let it go. I'm generally done by Wednesday, but there are some snags. I'm working. No, it's not the right answer. If I just magically change this sign to plus, everything works out. And the teacher will never find that. No one will ever find one plus sign that just went boop, boop.
Yeah.
But a group of people looking at it will instantly find, oh, no, that minus sign that you wanted to be a plus, up here is where you made the mistake, and it just comes down to there, everything's fine.
Okay.
It just takes. So that's, so there's the value. So there's a grade value. You're going to get a better grade the more people you talk to.
Yeah.
So that's the external motivation. The internal motivation is, and this is a little bit of role playing on my part, says because I perfectly well know what the solution is, and I know what mistake they've made by glancing at the whiteboard or at the wall, because there are some pretty common mistakes that I see again and again and again.
Right.
And so the issue is how to give a team feedback that's not, oh, you suck, this is awful. Right. It's finding something that they've done that's valid and giving them enough feedback. Okay, well, this sort of looks, I mean, if you look here, this answer shouldn't be imaginary. But up here, up through here, this looks, I will go so far as to say, this looks fine to me. Here's where you got some problem, and that's what you need to talk about. And so, and partly it's a persona. I am I'm role-playing one of the problem solvers in the team when I step into the team.
Yes.
So instead of bringing the hammer down, right, wrong, why this, why that? And that was such it's an unusual experience. Learning that it's okay to talk to people, learning that even in science, it's okay to actually, you got people that you should like. We're all don't like the people you're working with. That's okay. That's a part of the job.
Yeah.
And it gives in any team, there's someone who will sort of consistently come up with the right idea. Right? I mean, there's going to be someone who's sort of the stronger person, yeah. But there will always be some problem in that semester where that person gets stuck. That person doesn't know what the right next thing is, and someone else on the team, maybe the person who never has, the first steps of the idea, the person who never gets to hold, it's my turn, let's share the marker.
Right.
And I can overhear these ideas sometimes, say, oh, that's an interesting idea. You should say more about that. I think that might be where everyone is heading here.
Yes.
And that experience of talking to each other while working through something that's hard and having something that is done at the end that is not just right because I say it's right, but it's right in the end because they can check for themselves. Oh yeah, this matches everything else. This has got all the properties we're looking for. Right. Bang, put a box around it. That's our theorem now.
Yes.
That people were grasping at an upper division physics class as their source of, well, this is the thing that's at least normal, that is going to keep me afloat in April 2020. Please, Dr. Pickett, can we have more homework so that we can, it helps take our mind off of all this other stuff if we can just do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is exactly right.
Yeah. So that's interesting when you talk about role playing and that you just sort of jump in to be one of the team and just, because that aligns up to what I do in pre-K. I don't just sort of intrude on play and say, oh, well, I'm going to be the mommy and we're going to go to the grocery store. I am around, right? And I let kids sort of tell me how they would like their play to go and what role can I play in that play, and they'll let me know. Oh, they'll let me know. But you find out more, and it's that whole sense of, it's not the teacher with the right answer on it. And how ridiculous. The teacher knows the right way to play. What? Play is play. Like, there's no right answer in playing. And so it's, for example, this last semester, I had, because of COVID, we had to be in these little pods. So everybody, instead of our house area, where all of the house area stuff is, they all had their own little buckets of house area items, which basically whittled down to a baby and a telephone. So I'm seeing a lot of kids just like taking the baby, taking the telephone, just like smacking it, right?
Oh.
And so I grab my baby. Now, again, I'm not saying, yo, kid, what are you doing? You don't do that to a baby doll. So, because I have all of the same centers, so I get a baby and I'm like, oh, my baby's crying. This is what I like to do. Sometimes I like to go like this, and I stand, and sometimes I move like this. Sometimes, oh, even sometimes so some of them immediately are like, okay, like that's what you do with baby. And then I'm like, well, what other ways do you play with a baby? So then they start, and some kids didn't really know. And I'll be honest with you, it was some of the boys that I don't think, have that opportunity to have the babies. So I don't think they really did know. And to be fair, the center was, it was towards the end of the year. And so literally it was like a baby and a telephone. And there was not a lot going on.
Sometimes you need to call a doctor.
Had it been the center, they could put him on the changing table, give him a bath in the sink. It's so funny to see kids take their baby dolls and put them in the sink and give them a bath, or have one student like put their head back over the sink and they'll like wash their hair because they're a hairdresser working at home. I like the house area. The house area is a lot of fun, but there's no I'm the teacher, I'll tell you how to play. And
people are begging me.
To work out some of their stuff. Yeah. Well, there are kids that really just want the right answer all the time, even as 4-year-olds. And you can tell they get frustrated when it's, or the other situation, it's where, a student that might not have a lot of great ideas that everybody sort of gravitates to has this really cool idea. And I'll be honest, I do know that I am highlighting that student and that idea by saying something, but I don't want it to go unnoticed by everybody else in the classroom who is typically not hearing this child being successful or seeing them successful in whatever they try and do, and that does make a difference, because students by the time they're 4 have already categorized friends as good, bad, smart, not smart. And it's just always so amazing to me, because it really does bother me. And I made sure that I did not do it with Dakota. There was a lot of mistakes I might have made with Dakota, but I know one for sure that I did not make was say, oh, that's a good boy, as a positive type thing. Because if I'm identifying that you're good now, that means you must be bad later when you make a mistake, or when you feel bad, or when you say something. So, but it's amazing how I have 3- and 4-year-olds tell me, oh, he's bad. What? And I'll say, nobody's bad. We all make choices. We all have choices in life. Some of them might not be so great. And I would even go as far as saying, maybe that is a bad choice. And here's the consequence. Here's the choice you made. And looking at the consequences, yeah, it looks like bad choice to me. Maybe next time, what could the choice be? Like, but I don't.
Yeah, you can learn to make other choices, but you can't learn to be a different person. Yeah.
Right.
I'm a good person, bad person.
Realism is important. Like, it can't, I don't, I'm not a fan of the helicopter parent. I'm clearing the way. We play outside a lot and kids will fall over, bump into things. And, I check. I'm watching to see that they're okay. Or, the best is when they're on their trikes and they fall over. So now they're like a stuck beetle. Legs are like this and the wheels. And I'm like, they're not screaming out in pain. There is no blood. Let's give them a hot second to see if they can figure it out. Or if they're intertwined, two bikes come in like this, right? And they're both trying to go.
Jaws of life.
Yeah. It's honestly gratifying to see them look at the bike and figure out, we can't go like this. We gotta go what is not intuitive, backwards. I want to go that that way, but I got to go backwards first. Like that's such great learning instead of me running over and pulling them apart just for it to happen a minute later.
Right.
You know?
It's like you're getting my job is disentangling tricycles, and I'm good at it.
Right.
So let's just go. So I'm waiting for you. Go ahead.
Right.
Let's make some mistakes so I can fix them for you. And I'm not
Right.
a particular fan of that style either, because
Yeah.
it is a little it gets, it undercuts the genuine puzzlement that people have got when they face problems that I've seen for 30 years. And
Right.
robbing them of the chance to find the solution for themselves through their own path, which definitely includes backtracking.
Yes.
If you keep going forward to a solution and you never need to turn to a side, then it wasn't a problem in the first place.
Yes.
There's no puzzle that, you just start at the beginning and you finish it all the way and it's done. You've got to try things.
Right.
Exactly.
It's
Every
like
video game is like
unraveling
that.
a necklace chain that's all raveled up. You got to kind of get in there and kind of mess it up more, get it all loose, pull on that loop, this loop, you get a little bit out. You're right. It's a lot more meaningful if you have to backtrack, turn sideways, and that you do it and that you figure it out, as opposed to here's a straight line. Oh, you're stuck. Here, let me get you over that bump. There. Okay, go finish it. There, you finished it. You got the right answer. Go.
And that is, that was pretty much my approach sort of earlier in my career. In office hours, someone's got a problem.
Me too.
We'll talk
Me
about
too.
it. And we'll tell you what, give me the marker. Kids happy, I'm happy. But yeah, me taking the marker out of someone's hand, that's something that I very rarely do now.
Yeah.
Like almost never. And once we're back in person, unless I'm wearing white gloves or surgical gloves or something, I'm not touching anything anyone else is ever handling. No way.
Yeah.
People get your own.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and it's the other big thing with pre-K is painting. Because kids that have never worked with paints before, well, what do? They mix them all together and it turns out to be like a greenish brown monster, right?
Right.
They're learning what paint is and what happens when you mix things together. Like I actually kind of remember that being little. That's the one of the learnings that I probably actually remember is that when you ruin your paints and mix them all up, you just end up with this turd color that's no fun, And so I
also remember being
paints.
told, don't do that. You're doing it wrong. Smack.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so just to be fair.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe knock that out so I could be a learner. And then, so we have watercolors. Wait, I got to stop just for a second. Is that a queen bee? It's a huge thing, isn't it? Can you see it?
I can see it.
That's huge. Like I don't want to go outside. That's huge.
That is outside, right?
That's outside.
Making me feel a little uncomfortable just seeing it on my screen.
No, that's outside and it's huge.
Well, I hope it is a queen bee.
Yes, but then that means the swarm will be coming next.
The swarm's more interested in her than anything else.
True. Very interesting. Okay.
And
sorry.
The drones that are interested in her don't have stingers. You can just stomp them all day. No problem.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know. I mean, if it's a queen honeybee, bravo. And we need more of those.
Yeah.
So this is kind of hanging out. It's been beastly hot here. So maybe the hive melted and she had to go.
We got above the melting point of beeswax.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Well, head north, bee. Geez,
Well, it's
this isn't that hard.
in the shade of my very dirty window. I haven't spent the summer cleaning windows, obviously. Anyway, yes, we have watercolors, right? And so I explain, this is how you use this paint, because we first start with a tempera paint where it's wet and they can just go. So then when I get out watercolors, I explain water is what activates this paint, because look, it's dry, so you take some water, and I explain the whole thing just to show the process. And then I just let them have at it. And, pretty much everyone mixes up all the colors. Some kids will paint in the same spot to where there's a big hole.
Yeah.
And they're like, somebody ripped my paper. And I'm like, oh. Well, there's a lot of paint on that paper. Let's try another piece of paper and see what happens if you put paint all over the paper and not just in one place. But then I don't hound and watch, it's just sort of those layering of just, well, here's another way to look at it or to think about it. And I'll be honest, that took me a minute because, at the end of work time, I've got 12 trays of, the beginning of work time, they were beautiful and pristine, and now they're just like dark black messes. But whatever, we'll just buy more. I mean, those are.
So not only, I mean, on my end, there's performance that you can squeeze out of yourself if you are if you're willing to work with people and recognize that you're human beings that are, talking to each other and they've got feelings and all of that. But I do have more cleanup to do after, a typical class. I mean, just wiping down my notes is one thing. Wiping down everyone's notes is another. They won't clean up after themselves. It's just awful.
We do have cleanup time. We sing songs. We act like robots.
Yeah, I suspect that you don't get things spick and span.
And then I have the classroom para go through at nap time and do the real cleanup.
Yeah. But there is something about the autonomy. So that kids learning to paint or just getting a chance to paint, you've got a choice there. You can be the one in charge. Red square goes here, then a yellow square, and you didn't do it right smack. I want 20 copies of this thing I made, and you're making it. So you follow my instructions and you do that. Or here's your stuff, and I've made an environment in which whatever you're going to do with this, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
People do not expect that kind of environment by the time they get to me. They're looking for put the red square here, put the yellow square here, put the green square here, and you get 1 point, 2 point, 3 point A, you can go to graduate school.
Yeah.
And it has, I mean, there's just none of the creativity or the play that goes into making your own ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that junior, senior level, university level science could use more pre-K.
Yes.
More pre-K-like environment.
Yeah, and I think that's why pre-K is looking more and more like it is today than it was even 10 years ago, certainly 20 years ago.
I know there will be some education reformers out there who, want their magnet school to catch on or whatever, or their picture of pre-K is kids are just problems and you need to start from day one telling them what to do. And then that sort of, I mean, there's sort of performance pressure that like No Child Left Behind left in its wake. We're not going to mess with anything that's not the 3 R's.
Yes. Well, there were, even here in the last 5 years, there were certain charter schools that tested pre-K students to see if they could qualify to enter into their kindergarten, which I thought a charter school, okay, I thought you had to take anybody, but maybe not. Anyway, it freaked parents out because they came back like, oh my God, they didn't know anything. And that is the presumption that I was supposed to teach them all their letters and letter sounds. Now, did I have some students know their letters and letter sounds? Yeah, because they were ready for that, but that's not a prerequisite of what you teach in pre-K. And then it's not like my ELA lessons are, okay, we're doing this letter today. And then there's a quiz at the end,
Mhm.
It's way more organic, which is difficult in planning because it's a lot more open-ended than I'm used to, like even in first grade. I was used to, this is the reading program. Here are the stories we're reading. This is the skill we're working on. Now I had smaller groups because everybody had individual skills that we were working on, but it was very skill-based. Pre-K is interest-based. And that is hard for some parents to really hold on to. And then it's really harder when you've got other classrooms next to you that is what they're doing, but you're all teaching pre-K, where they're all pounding out the same little crafty thing, and they're all pounding out the same worksheet or, ABC something that's just not appropriate, but actually even more important, it's not what we have decided as a district we're going to do. That's not our curriculum. And so then when you don't even have a team of teachers doing the same thing, it makes it difficult. And there's a lot of changing that goes on. And it was certainly a journey for me to go from even first grade, even though I worked with family literacy and adults for a couple of years, going from first grade to pre-K, and just, making that transition. It's a hard transition because it's very different, especially if you've been ingrained in an elementary school with, they have to reach these milestones. You have to get them to this spot. There's all stakes important tests that they have to take. Like that gets ingrained in you, and you feel that pressure.
And it's someone looking outside in on what the instruction looks like. Anything that is not aimed at performance on those small stakes or maybe even larger stakes tests seems like it's just, kind of liberal, floating in the wind. How do you feel about 2 + 2?
Right.
That it's not, that somehow it is not rigorous and is not going to help anybody. But
right.
My experience is that all of that stuff, I mean, you can't, so someone's going to be a physicist, there's definitely some things they're going to need to be able to do. And there's definitely some things that they're going to want to do. And part of the training is, we like this. We're going to make you do a lot of this until you learn to like it. We'll help you like it, but I mean, no one naturally likes doing this. We'll teach you how to like it.
Yeah.
But taking just a little bit of time, taking a little bit of class time away from drill, 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 work, 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 answer, 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 and putting it into, how do you feel about this? What's your morale? I mean,
Yeah.
not explicitly, but
right.
If it's hard work and it's still people are making a choice to do it, why wouldn't? No one does that kind of hard work for the money.
Yeah. Right. Right.
No, you don't. That would be stupid. But so there is money to be made there, but only if you're happy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And being happy can't be just a matter of someone like the professor saying you're smart. And it's not even the professor saying you're smart. sometimes it is as anonymous as I'm, one person in a 75-person classroom, and I'm the one that got the 98 on the paper. That's my name from now on, 98.
Right.
That's my identity.
Yeah. I will say though, going back to, teachers that influenced me, it wasn't until college that I actually was picked and pointed out of a group as doing a good job. I was pointed out as doing the wrong thing a lot. But
Yeah.
college, and it was intro to reading that juniors had to take. Very nervous, heard the reputation of this teacher. It was her midterm. She said, notoriously, nobody gets higher than a C. Don't expect anything higher than a C. That's not going to happen in here. Well, she passed out the test and she pointed out that, well, sure enough, somebody got an A. Or maybe it was a B and nobody ever got B's either. But she pointed me out as getting a very high mark, which I would have thought all these years would have made me feel great. Like I always thought I wanted to be like,
Yeah.
labeled the smart one, and that I, like I could do it, and that would have made me feel good. It was embarrassing. Like it felt good, but it was a weird, I felt good because I knew I worked hard, but then I was
You knew it was good work.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
And then kind of just like,
sorry, everybody, didn't mean to make your lives hell.
It was just kind of weird. It was really weird. So, it's just, even just knowing what embarrasses students, like when I joke around and have fun with students, and then some students don't think that's funny or fun, and recognizing that and apologizing.
Yeah.
And say, I'm sorry, you didn't think that was funny. I was not trying to hurt your feelings. Are you okay? And then they're like, oh, that it's an instant feedback loop of, not only am I saying I'm sorry to you, but I want to know, are you okay? Because that's opening myself up to hearing, no, I'm not okay, and this is why. Because it's easy to say sorry and run, but then to ask, are you okay? And hearing how they're not okay and how I actually did hurt them. But then that shows other kids, like, and that's what you do, because as the person saying, no, I'm not okay, that hurt my feelings, or I don't think that's funny, that gives that person, now they actually do feel better because they were just allowed to say that. But it's, that was, I did not have the opportunity to tell that teacher, please don't ever do that again. I was just happy she thought I was smart. I was happy that she thought I was smart.
Yeah.
I did actually. I felt like I was given a little leeway by the time I was a senior and I was in her senior class, that she had kind of already, I had sort of already established myself as, and
remember
so
me.
Had a little leeway maybe on my last grade. Then I was like, wow, I could have done this in high school. I could have.
Yeah. all you need. So I am sure, and this is about the hour we've got, but I am sure that the reason I wound up getting basically bussed across the hallway from first grade math to second grade math was I made some random right answer.
Yeah.
Like 1 and 0 are really popular answers on problems.
Yeah.
So if the entire class is saying 0 and I just say 1 to be a dick, oh, you're the smart one because it's the right answer. Now people are going to know that you're the smart one and you're going to get invested in being right in math. I mean,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was something like that. And there's a track record that goes along with that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Both ways.
Yes. I think we're prime examples of both tracks. And I'm not even saying, I really am not saying, I can certainly say this now. It took me a long time. How old am I? Yeah, 50 something. It took me a long time, like into my 30s and 40s, to really reconcile with, No, you didn't do good in school. No, you didn't like reading. You are a teacher that doesn't like reading. No, I don't like reading because it's hard. And my whole life, I really never got positive reinforcements of any attempt I made at reading. So why would I like it? I do it because I have to do the things I like to do, like teaching, you know. But that's a journey of, you know, going through and, you know, not just being, yeah, I was the dumb one, I never got anything right, and to that was hard and it doesn't make you feel good, to, yeah, well, that's the journey I took. I know I'm a lot more than just my high school track record. And I want to make kids feel that they're more than just a track record, because it's pretty sad if I'm setting them on a track, good or bad, that they feel they can't deviate off of in pre-K. Like, that's a long road to haul if you feel you can never be wrong, or you feel you're never going to be right. Like, that's exhausting just saying that sentence. Right?
Right.
Like how I looped all that back in. Whew.
I like that. That's the place
That's a
to end
keeper.
right there.
Amy had a dinger.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll stop right. Bye, everybody. That's it.
Bye. Bye.